Grappling fans, it's another edition of the Grappling Bulletin podcast, and I'm sorry to say that today I have a terrible headache. My headache is the result of a very stressful weekend, the bombshell news that came out at the end of last week that Gordon Ryan would be taking an indefinite leave of absence from grappling competition. I'm pained. I'm shocked. I'm not sure what the future holds. I'm Holteague. This is this is Chase Smith.
You are in pain.
I am in pain, and that's Corey Stockton at the back. And today, the best thing to do is to start and to really just discuss what a world without Gordon Ryan looks like. And he's not dead. No, it's not like he's
I was
going
to say,
completely.
we could turn that dial back a little bit. He is still with us. But it does paint an interesting landscape, right? Gordon Ryan dominated the scene. You could say since 2019 ADCC has been basically him at the top the whole time, and he sort of ran away with that lead. So I'm curious to find who's going to be the new number one. Because we don't really know, of course, if you saw the article.
They don't. Well, hang on. Let's not jump ahead. Let's because we've got a pretty clear path to discuss this, right?
Sure.
It's like we have the fact that what happened to Gordon. Like let's discuss exactly what has taken him out and the series of events that led this to come to fruition.
Sounds like a good plan to me. Lead the way.
All right, so he's made no secret about the fact that he's sick, right? He's gastroparesis. It's I don't even really know. Like it's not like a very common ailment. It's a problem with the stomach where he doesn't digest food properly and the food sits in his stomach and it basically just makes him feel sick all the time. He can't train as hard as he wants to because he feels sick, but also he can't fuel his body through those training sessions and, basically just put him in a miserable mood all the time, and it just sounds pretty awful to live with. And if you're a high performance athlete, I mean, that can't be good for you, right?
No, I mean, he's been very open about it. If you follow him on Instagram over the years, you've seen him post about how it has affected his training. Even recently, he's kind of revealed the fact that he won't eat almost 48 hours before a competition, just so he can be confident that his stomach won't be acting up, that he'll be in discomfort. So
I can't even eat I can't go without food 4 hours before a training session, let alone 48 hours.
Yeah, it's sounds really intense. And so it is, it's a damaging loss to the scene right now, but I'm glad that Gordon has reached his point where he says, you know what, this is more important now to take care of this so I can perform at the level I need to remain at top, than to kind of put himself through that. And just, that could really take the pleasure out of any of this for him.
Yeah, it's a job, isn't it? But, grapplers, they do generally kind of enjoy their vocation, being a professional grappler. But the question is if this is an enforced temporary absence, or if this is possibly early retirement. Corey, do you have any thoughts, or are there any indications on which way this is going right now?
I mean, there's enough people that are interested in keeping Gordon Ryan competing for as long as possible that I think eventually he'll find his way. I'm speculating, obviously, but eventually he'll find his way to, let's hope, a cure and to returning. But in the meantime, grappling in the jiu-jitsu world is going to continue, right? So we need to start asking the questions, and I'm sure everybody who has been trying to catch up to Gordon Ryan is willing and hoping to answer the question, who's next? Who's going to kind of take that spot from him?
Yeah, it's crazy to think that he's been dealing with this problem for so long, because you look at his results and he's been pretty much untouchable since 2018. People have been barely able to score a point on him, let alone come close to actually beating him. His last loss to Vinny Magalhães, a points lost back in 2018. He's riding a 40-plus match win streak. The guy is just the leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else in the ranking. It's like he's the number one pound-for-pound ranked no-gi grappler in the world, but not just that, right? He is the most dominant no-gi grappler in the world, just hands down. And for that to happen to the very best athlete in the sport right now, you don't see that happen very often. You don't see somebody's career hit a speed bump, become derailed, or even just stop completely when they're so dominant and they're 25 years of age.
Yeah, it's a catastrophe, really. I think all of us are very optimistic, which is why maybe I haven't turned into full-blown migraine that you have right now. I'm just saying, okay, maybe it's going to be 6 months, could be longer. We have no idea, but I sort of have it in the back of my mind that he'll come back. But I mean, if you imagine a scene 5 years from now where he's still not back and it's just over, that's an incredible loss, really, because I feel like he's really hit his peak. I mean, he keeps saying how he's always just getting better and that the Gordon of today would smash Gordon of yesterday. And I think everyone just wants to see how far could he take that. And so it'd be a shame not to really know the answer, because right now that is a complete unknown. But
and he said that he was going to compete well into his 30s. He said that on the Joe Rogan podcast just a couple of weeks ago. He's like, yeah, I've got years left in the tank. It's like, I'm not even close to hitting my peak. And actually, he pointed to a good example about how many high-level grapplers, like really established world champions, guys like Lucas Lepri, Andre Galvao, many others, they really cemented themselves and hit their prime in their early 30s, which is phenomenal to think that it's not even his final form.
It's true. So I think our fingers are crossed here that Gordon makes a comeback eventually, whenever it is. Who knows? But I'm optimistic maybe that taking some time away from competition, away from training, will give him more time to focus on recovery. And here we can see some of Gordon's best moments of recent times. Some of the footage goes back to ADCC 2019, but the rest is a little more recent than that. But anyways, yeah, you can see some of the technical prowess. But moving on then, I think a little bit, the question then becomes, now that Gordon's out for an undetermined amount of time, what's next? What's happening next in the scene?
What is next? Well, first of all, we have to ask, if Gordon steps away, who takes over as number one? And I listed a couple of names in the Grappling Bulletin article this morning. Of course, you should always make sure, first thing you do on a Monday morning, check FloGrappling.com, because you have the Grappling Bulletin article. And we pack it full of all the kind of stuff that you see on the show. But we do discuss in depth in the article who will take Gordon's place as number one. Who are the front runners for that top spot in the ranking? Now, there were 4 names that jump out at me straight away. Number 1, Kaynan Duarte. Number 2, Victor Hugo. Number 3, Roberto Cyborg. And even Craig Jones, even though he's not quite as high in the pound-for-pound rankings. So I think the smart money is on Kaynan, right? To slide in at number 1 if Gordon is to step away. Kaynan has been unable to get that match with Gordon because Gordon has just said, for personal and professional reasons, that he, has a personal problem that stemmed from professional issues with Kaynan. He claims that Kaynan, cost him money and shut down opportunities for him and stuff. So he's like, I'm never going to fight Kaynan for money. I'm never going to give him a cent. I'll only ever meet him in a tournament. So Gordon was just straight up refusing that match with Kaynan, although Kaynan was legitimately, I feel, the number one challenger, both spiritually and technically speaking, because Kaynan is like the most advanced no-gi grappler in the world, I feel, besides Gordon. ADCC champion, Kasai champion, no-gi world champion, Spider champion. He won pretty much everything there was to win in 2019, and he looked phenomenal. He's hit a few speed bumps along the way. He stumbled more than once. He's lost very spectacularly by submission to, remember, Lachlan Giles, ADCC 2019, and of course Roberto Cyborg last year, 2020. So he's not untouchable like Gordon is, but he's still very, very good.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. Kaynan has all the potential in the world. He's a fast learner as well. I think if he watches those matches, he'll admit that he wasn't really paying attention at the right times, or it was a simple mistake. But he's right there, technically speaking, and also improving radically every single time he competes. I really, on a personal level, want to see that match with Gordon and Kaynan. It was obviously pretty frustrating knowing that, for the reasons you mentioned, Gordon was not going to let that happen until a tournament came around. But my fingers are crossed that we do see that match one day. And I think in Gordon's absence, Kaynan is in a great position to really take over the scene for the time being. Corey, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think that, as much of a shame as it is to see Gordon have to step down like this, having him step away gives us a lot of opportunities as fans to identify who else is close, right? We know that Gordon is a head and shoulders above everybody else, but there are a number of people, Kynan included, who are right up there in maybe underneath Gordon. So to figure out who the next number one person is, anybody who hasn't been able to get a match or doesn't want to get a match with Gordon, I want to see who's ready, so that we don't have to continue giving Gordon matches in the future just because somebody's willing to step up and not necessarily because somebody deserves it. Let's use this time, whether it's a couple months or a year or potentially even a couple of years, to find out who's there and who belongs to be there. And this is the best way to do it in a world without Gordon.
So aside from Gordon, there are a couple of other names. There's Victor Hugo. I think that he's up there as well, right? He's one of the biggest and most dangerous guys in the no-gi divisions. 6'4", 270 pounds, absolute monster of a man. Doesn't quite have the credentials that Kynan does, right? He's a no-gi world champion, tapped out Roberto Cyborg in the final of the absolute division in 2019. Guy's legit, but he just doesn't have the experience as Kynan, right?
No, but again, I think he's looking to take that on. He's mentioned in past interviews that 2021 will be a little more no-gi focused and maybe even eyeing ADCC 2022. We've yet to see a lot of that unfold, but the year's still, relatively new, almost halfway there, I guess. But
Victor did win gold at Pans, no-gi Pans just last week.
That is true. That's true. I'm forgetting Pans. So yeah, he's right. He's right there to do great things. Yeah.
I think that he needs the experience, though, right? He needs just time on the mat, because I want to say Victor's had maybe 4 or 5 no-gi matches all year.
I think he needs more matches. I mean, I think he's totally ready. He's definitely ready. It's just let's see it happen.
I think that he needs the momentum. He needs that rhythm. He needs to be competing no-gi regularly or frequently, and I think maybe that could help him establish his position. But I don't know. I just feel like right now, especially if his attention is divided between gi and no-gi, it's hard to take that number one spot. Cyborg is phenomenal, and he had an amazing year last year, right? 2020,
Grappler of the year.
FloGrappling, male grappler of the year. Just phenomenal performance from the veteran Cyborg. But this year, his focus already seems to have shifted.
I mean, he had a really hard year last year. He competed, I feel like, every other month, maybe more than that.
Probably more than anybody.
Super active. So I don't blame him for maybe taking a step back and focusing on business or whatever else he's up to. But I hope we see him in competition a bit. He's one of the best out there today. Number 2 currently ranked pound for pound no-gi grappler today, and a fan favorite, definitely a fan favorite. So any of the names that we've been talking about fighting each other excites me. Victor Hugo versus Cyborg is a crazy rematch that we might see one day. Kynan Cyborg would be a great rematch to see. All these guys, though, are sort of vying in contention with each other. I feel like there's no clear,
it's a lot more competitive.
There's no clear favorite in any of these matches, where a lot depends on the exact circumstances around that potential matchup, like how training has been, who's been injured, who isn't injured, all that kind of stuff.
And what about Craig Jones? Because he could be the heir apparent to the title of the Danaher Death Squad's best heavyweight, right? Now, obviously, he competes around about 205 pounds. He's a little bit smaller than Gordon, but he's one of the most deadly submission grapplers in the world, Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. I think
big shoes to fill, though, right?
I think it's going to be a different pair. I don't think Craig would see himself as taking Gordon's place. I think he wants to do things on his own. I mean, I think that's pretty clear if you follow him on Instagram. He's got a very unique approach to promoting himself and the way he thinks about being a professional athlete, but it really works for him as well. He's got a lot of fans, a lot of interest in watching compete, and let's not forget he's got a crazy finishing rate. I think Craig Jones has something like a 70% plus finishing rate.
It's really high.
Yeah, it's really crazy high.
However, he's got to get through Louis Panza first, which is
I was about
Friday
to get
nights, right?
Yeah, so he's got a excuse me. Well, hold on, never mind. I'll get back to you on that sub rate. I was going to try to pull that up real quick. But yes, this is a great moment for Craig to really potentially put a stamp on the fact that, guys, no-gi scene is not dead. I'm here to keep pushing it forward. He's not going to be Gordon, but no one's can be, but he can be a very great leader, just as Craig.
So you mentioned a good question there. Then is the grappling scene. What does it look like without Gordon? And the question is that can no-gi grappling continue to thrive without Gordon leading the way? Because Danaher was really clear to us, and Gordon mentioned it on the Joe Rogan podcast as well, that John Danaher was the primary reason, the big influence in his career in stopping him from transitioning to MMA. And Danaher's logic was, listen, grappling needs you. The grappling needs a figurehead, a personality, a dominant competitor, a standout athlete, somebody from which the people can look to as a source of inspiration, a source of entertainment, and somebody who really can showcase what is possible within the sport. And every big sport has them. They come and go, but whether it's Mike Tyson or whether it is Michael Jordan or whether it is Lewis Hamilton or whoever it is, there are standout names in every major sport that just help things elevate, let's say. They elevate things. They just take things to the next level. And it seems that, well, Gordon was that man for us, because Nogi Grappling has enjoyed a growth, an accelerated growth over the last couple of years that has been in lockstep with his progression through the ranks, right?
Yeah, I definitely have some ideas on that, but let's kick it back to Corey first and see what you have to say, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, there are some people that are not in the same way as Gordon, filling Gordon's shoes, right? Gordon's style is very unique in that he's combative online, and he's very focused on his teaching and very focused on executing things that, frankly, nobody else can really get away with. But there are other people other athletes that can shine a light on Nogi Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm thinking specifically of Craig Jones here. Whether or not Craig Jones can fill Gordon's shoes in the pound for pound, he's definitely already doing that with his personality and continuing to bring attention to Nogi Grappling. And I think, nobody's seen what his coaching style is like on The Ultimate Fighter yet, but I think that could start to do that.
So I look as well at the sport of Nogi Grappling, and I feel that having somebody like Gordon is very important, yes. But I don't think that's the end of the growth of Nogi Grappling. I still think that Nogi Grappling has a long way to go, okay? You know, you look at who's number one, you look at the various other promotions that are out there, and it's cool, it's fun to watch. And the thing about Nogi Grappling as well is that it's definitely got a brighter future to be understood by casual fans more so than the gi, right? So we love the gi at FloGrappling. We really do. We love both gi and no gi. And there has been a lot of no gi on our platform lately. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And it's no secret that for the majority of people, no gi is easier to understand. You know, even for us as ardent practitioners, as trained eyes, sometimes we miss the nuance and the subtleties of watching gi competition. But the great thing is that white belts and blue belts can watch a no-gi match, and there might be some technicalities going on that they're like, whoa, that's pretty intricate, but it's easier to understand. And even casual MMA fans have been exposed to enough decent high-level grappling attacks that they can look at a no-gi grappling match and it's like, wow, it kind of looks the same, you know? It shares let's call it a common visual language. So a grappling fan from MMA who just likes the ground game can look at Nogi Grappling and be like, yeah, I get it. Whereas they may never understand the leverage points required to make a gi match work. So I feel that Nogi Grappling has future still, but just, you know, that accelerated growth, maybe it's just not quite as rapid without Gordon sort of leading the way.
It makes a lot of sense, and I have to agree with you wholeheartedly about the ability for casual fans to interpret what's going on, or not even casual fans, but just friends. You know, sometimes I'll have jiu-jitsu on at the house, and people come by and that don't train, and they have no idea what's going on, right? But at least you see someone in no-gi wrestling or scrapping a little bit, or getting their bat taken. It's just a little more kinetic energy than the gi. And I feel like also some positions in the gi are much more static, just even, you know, we have lapel guards, for example, or 50-50, where the match may not be in a stalling position, but it's just a little slower, a little more methodical. And I feel like there's a little bit less of that in no-gi in general. So it is a little more interesting, I think, second to second for people who don't know what's going on.
And there are plenty more stars who can not necessarily replace Gordon. I don't think anybody ever will. But there are plenty more real, promising talents coming through. Some of them only teenagers who are equally exciting to watch. I mean, just look at Tyra Otolo. Just look at Elizabeth Clay. Just look at, the multitude of younger grapplers who are breaking through and just doing things that were impossible to conceive a couple of years ago. These guys are accelerating the growth of no-gi grappling. And when people are hip to them as much as they are to Gordon, well, I mean, they've had a taste. It's just the more good stuff is coming.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of our show, Who's Number One, is building these future stars, giving them a platform, and they are so good. It's scary. It's terrifying when you really consider how young they are. But the length of their training is incredible. They've been training since they're 5, since they're 2 years old or something. So it makes sense that they've progressed so rapidly. But I think what really is the hallmark of Gordon's reign at number one and the interest surrounding him is that the stakes are always so high in his match. He's created this aura of invincibility and backed it up by winning convincingly. And I think a lot of people might say the trash talk is what gets Gordon so much views and so much anticipation surrounding his matches.
These guys aren't doing that.
Well, it's true. I think the trash talk does matter, but I think ultimately it amplifies his status because he wins by submission. That if he doesn't win by submission, he's just another guy talking trash on the internet that wins, loses, doesn't matter. They kind of, yes, they get a bump, a little bit of reaction from people if they get make some outlandish statements.
Yeah,
but because he makes these statements and then goes out and does it and submits and wins all the time, that's what really creates the mystery. So I think you can't just come out and say, all right, I'm the next trash talker. You'll get some attention, but it may not carry you as far as you think unless you win dominantly like Gordon was able to do for a long time.
Just ask AJ Agazam. Exactly. Oof. What about the ADCC 2022 Super Fight? Of course, the status of that match was always...
I don't know the answer to that.
The status of the match was always unclear, but now it's completely chaos. It's complete chaos because, well... The story behind the ADCC Super Fight was quite simple, right? Gordon, having won ADCC 2019, the Absolute Division, he qualified. He put himself into the number one challenger spot. He was the contender for Andre Galvao's Super Fight title. Andre Galvao, the Super Fight champion since 2013. 2013, 2015, 2017, and 2019, he won and defended the title. And then Gordon, having won the Absolute Division in 2019, would have faced off with Andre at the next ADCC, the one that's due to take place in September 2022. So, for many reasons, the match with Galvao was never certainty, right? It was never definitely going ahead. There were a lot of questions.
That's one way to put it, I would say.
But even from day one, because if you think about it, Galvao was supposed to retire after that match with Pena. In fact, he said to us, he's like, I'm done. He's like, that's it. No more. Like, this is going to be my last one. All his teammates at Atos were telling me, like, the day of the competition, he's done. And then he wins against Pena, and he walks out, and he does the face-off with Gordon. It's like, yeah, I'm going to come back in 2 years, and I'm going to take Gordon on. And although those guys were right next to me, and they were like, wait, what? Like, we didn't expect that. So Galvao led us to believe that there was a chance. But then things broke down, right? Because Galvao, he wanted more money, He felt that the ADCC had more to offer him. And then there was the infamous physical altercation, let's call it, that happened just a couple of months ago. If there was any doubt that the match was was going ahead or not, that really dealt some damage to the prospect of that match taking place, right, Corey?
Absolutely. We haven't heard any news as far as what's happening with Galvao, but this kind of brings something interesting to like an interesting idea to me, in that whether or not Gordon was ever going to will be able to make it to the ADCC fight. We've seen plenty of times where the super fight winner does not return. That happened for a number of years consecutively in like the early mid 2000s.
It's true.
But this may be the first time, if Gordon does not make it to the super fight, maybe the first time that neither the super fight champ nor the absolute champ make it to the super fight.
That's a great point. That is a very, very good point. I think that there may be one instance of that happening in the past, and we'll have to really dig back into the ADCC annals to find the example of that taking place. But you're right. It does. It puts things into a very difficult position because the smart money was on. If Galvao didn't want to do the match with Gordon at ADCC, then make the match with Felipe Pena. Right. That's what everybody was saying. Well, it's fine. Pena was the one who beat Gordon in 2017. He lost to Galvao in 2019. But everybody wants to see Pena versus Gordon again, right? That third match, and that was the perfect place to do it. But now both Galvao and Gordon are out. Pena's there. Does he deserve that spot for the super fight? Possibly. But who's he going to face? Who's the worthy challenger who could take on Pena in the ADCC super fight? The runner-up from the Absolute division, which was Buchecha? I don't know. It doesn't feel right to call on a second runner-up to try and take that position. So you have two runners-up basically fighting for a title because nobody else is available. It's a very, very strange question, and who knows? Maybe by September 2022, maybe Gordon will be in a position to return. We just don't know is the truth. But the ADCC super fight for me is just, it's complete chaos now.
It's definitely out of our hands, we should say, and I'm curious to see what the Federation decides to do should Gordon remain out of competition at that point. There is no easy answer as far as we can tell at this moment, but we still have some time. It's a year and a half away still, so who knows what might develop by then.
So where does Gordon go from here?
Doctor's office, I think. I mean, he's got to get treatment. That's what he's done this for, right? I don't know exactly what his plans are, but I imagine he'll be very busy doing everything he can. So I don't know. I don't know what to say.
I don't think he's going to quit jiu-jitsu full stop, right? There's no way.
I think he's still training probably lightly, not in competition focused, but just to keep the body moving. It's what he likes to do as much as he can, I'm sure. So
because the word is from inside the Danaher Death Squad is that apparently his physical condition is hard to watch. That's what we've been told. It's just that it's sad to see an athlete as capable as Gordon so debilitated by this condition and just unable to train, unable to exert any real kind of effort inside the gym. And it's heartbreaking to think that an athlete of his caliber has been stopped in his tracks like this. But I just can't imagine that Gordon, who's dedicated the last 10 years of his life to jiu-jitsu, is just going to walk away. No chance, He's been training for this since an early age, but since 15, he pretty much decided that I'm all in on jiu-jitsu. And for the last 5-6 years, his career has just taken, it's just got a shot of jet fuel. Just went up to the stratosphere, beyond what anybody could have imagined. For it to come crashing back down to earth like that, it's like, it's tough. But it's not going to be a catalyst for him to just drop jiu-jitsu and do something else. No, he's still going to teach, right? He's still going to teach his seminars. He's still going to produce his DVDs. He's still going to stay active within the sport. Maybe, who knows? I mean, we're actually going to get Gordon in on Friday. He's still coming to Austin this weekend, and he's going to join us in the commentary box on Friday night for a couple matches.
Yeah, great point. That should have been what I said when you asked what he's going to do next. He's going to be here. Who's number one? He's still giving his seminar in Austin, Texas, Thursday night before the event. But yeah, he'll be joining us in commentary, doing some of the pre-show stuff. Can't wait to kind of pick his brain in real time about jiu-jitsu. He really is such a technical analyst, right? I mean, he loves studying the game and has an amazing mind for the sport. So looking forward to what he has to say about those matches.
He also he's also got this crazy work ethic, right? He's a hustler. Gordon works harder than anybody, and that's one of his. That's one of the things that he's most proud about. He's got this incredible blue-collar work ethic and this drive to succeed. He wants to be the best in whatever it is that he does. So I'm kind of wondering, Corey, do you think you'll see that manifest itself off the mat into something else? What do you think? Do you think he'll open a gym, or who knows?
Well, Gordon said for a long time, right, that he prides himself on his work ethic always, first and foremost. And let's not forget that despite the fact that he's been for the last 5-6 years one of the best athletes in the sport, he remains one of the greatest minds in the sport. So I'm sure he'll be looking for an outlet. We know the fact that they're down in Puerto Rico means they're very likely being looking for somewhere permanent to train. And I can't imagine a world where Gordon Ryan is not at the very top of teaching there right next to John Danaher.
Well, it's a very complicated situation, and unfortunately, we just don't have any answers right now. Gordon, as you mentioned, will be coming into Austin later this week. We'll have him here, and hopefully we'll catch up and we'll discuss this more, because this is really it's powerful stuff to think that the leading no-gi grappler in the world has had to just completely step back from all scheduled matches. He had the match with Luis Panza this weekend. Craig Jones has stepped up to replace his teammate. He was scheduled to face Roberto Cyborg in July. This was a match that we hadn't even announced yet. The ink was barely dry on the contracts. And then Gordon, unfortunately, has to pull out. And, we've talked a lot about how hard it is to find people willing to face Gordon. So, apologies to Cyborg for going through this process and then having to, Gordon having to withdraw from the match like this. But who knows what the future holds for Gordon Ryan. But like we say, it's a lot of questions, not many answers right now. Hopefully we'll find out. We'll get some more clarity later this week.
It's true. But in the meantime, to change gears and maybe lighten the mood a little bit around here, I can't wait to see Craig Jones versus Luis Panza. That match is really interesting to me, Hal.
Yeah, so when we announced that Gordon was out, of course, we announced that the replacement for Gordon would be his teammate, Craig Jones. And I will be honest, I don't think I saw one negative comment about this replacement. People are excited for this match. Craig Jones is one of the most exciting, entertaining, and just downright amazing no-gi grapplers in the world. And not many people gave Luis Panza a chance against Gordon, regardless of how good he is. The fact that this guy is a physical monster, he's a leg lock specialist, he's a heavyweight black belt from the Checkmat team. People were like, yeah, Gordon's got this. Now, the match is all of a sudden a lot more competitive, right? And people are like, wow, I don't know what could happen here, man. Craig's got his hands full. Craig is a legit threat, but don't sleep on Panza in this one.
Panza has a few things going for him in this match, and one of them, the most obvious being, he's a lot bigger than Craig Jones, and I think he's very
40 pounds bigger, maybe?
Easily. And there's no baby fat here. He's ripped. I mean, Panza is a physical specimen, and also not ignorant of the leg lock game. In fact, he's very good at it. So those two things combined, it's like, man, that's a lot to overcome for Craig.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what do you think about this match, Corey? Leg locker versus leg locker?
It's certainly an exciting match. Partially because leg locker versus leg locker, but more so because it's finisher versus finisher. Both of these guys have incredibly high submission rates. I think Craig Jones is like 83 or above 80% submission rate.
76. I found it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so is Panza's.
But Panza too, right? Panza's
identical.
76 to 78% submission rate. So we're gonna see a finish in this match. If we don't, I will be so surprised. We're talking about the betting odds obviously tomorrow, but if you have the option for over under 10 minutes, you go under 10 minutes on this match 100% of the way.
All right.
I'm super excited for it. I gotta say, I'm a big fan of Panza. Always have been. He's got great jiu-jitsu, very dynamic. He's moved so well for a big guy. And Craig's Craig. I mean, he's one of the most active competitors on the Who's Number One stage. A multiple-time veteran, and so far with a perfect record on Who's Number One as well, right? All submissions. So.
Yeah, all submissions. And that's one thing that we've kind of chatted about on the side is, Craig's easygoing demeanor. He's a very casual, laid-back guy. Doesn't pretend to or present himself as like some killer, but he is. but I mean, he absolutely goes out there to rip people's legs off. Yeah. And I'm always excited to watch a Craig Jones match. And this is going to be a real test for him, which is, I think, why people are so excited. And I think Panza brings a lot to the table. Plus, let's not forget, Panza's backed by Leo Vieira, right? Leo Vieira, one of the greatest minds in the game, an amazing competitor in his day, but also now the, of course, leader of Checkmat. I think Leo's going to bring an interesting strategy that I'm looking forward to see play out.
Yeah, it's not the only match that, of course, is on the show this weekend. Pull up the graphic real quick, Tyler, because we've got a stacked show this weekend. We've got a total of 9 matches going down with 3 free prelim matches that'll be available to watch not only on our website but also on YouTube and Facebook as well. So we've got a battle for the number 1 spot. Lucas Pinheiro is defending his position, top of the ranking in the 135-pound division against Mikey Musumeci. You've got the veterans going head to head. This is going to be a real violent match. I'll eat my hat if it's not. You got Wagner Hocher against Josh Hinger. Super excited for that one. And then just going down the card, so many talented no-gi grapplers from many different teams. AOJ sending 3 squad members for this one: Jonathan Alves, Jessica Khan, and Kolobate in the prelims. Checkmat have got a really strong squad as well. So this is definitely a loaded show from top to bottom, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I can't believe it's going down this weekend. I was
Friday night.
I took a weekend off, actually. It's my birthday weekend. And
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And
by the way, Corey's birthday was yesterday. Chase's tomorrow.
I thought it was tomorrow. No, yours is tomorrow.
Oh, yours was yesterday.
Mine was yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is how much attention I pay to my co-workers. Chase's birthday was yesterday, and Corey's is tomorrow. So happy birthday, boys.
Thank you. Welcome to the Masters Division, Corey.
Drop a happy birthday in the chat, you guys.
But with that said, those couple days off is unusual for me, especially during a weekend when there's always events going on. So I'm like, oh my God, it's here. Like, who's number 1 team so far away as of last Thursday? And then now all of a sudden it's on our doorstep. Guys will be coming into Austin this weekend. We got some exciting things in the works. Got an episode of Fix My Game coming with Mikey Musumeci.
But not you, though.
But not me. I'm still kind of recovering. My hamstring's on the mend. I'm walking around pretty well, but definitely can't train for a few more weeks. But Corey will be filling in, making his debut.
You got that pleasure.
So
you haven't done an episode of Fix My Game yet, right, Corey?
No, and I get to have Mikey ragdoll me around for the first one, so that'll be fun.
Ooh.
This is the curse, by the way, of Mikey Musumeci. It's the second time I've scheduled to Fix My Game with him, and the second time I've gotten injured before.
What the hell, Mikey?
That's right. There's something weird about it. I'm not going to question it. Just no more Fix My Games with Mikey for me.
I think you should be having a word with your teammates as to why they want to prevent you from rolling with Mikey Musumeci.
Yeah, maybe it's something in the air at the gym. I don't know. But in any case, it's going to be a fun week. Like we said, we have a press conference coming Thursday. If you're in Austin, check out the Gordon seminar. And, of course, the show goes down Friday.
Fight week, baby. Love it. All right. So IBJJF had 2 events on the weekend. They had events in Miami and Memphis, right?
Did you just call it Memphis?
Memphis.
Memphis, bro.
Yeah, it's Memphis. Yeah, that's the accent, right? That's how they say it there.
I don't think
Never heard that.
I don't think that's how it goes, but move along.
Memphis Open and Miami Open. Miami's always a fun one, right? It's once again, Fight Sports took the top spot in the team trophy, the Kings of Miami, and but there was some good results actually. You look, and AOJ, they sent obviously their black belt killers Jonathan Alves and Tynan Dalpra to the Miami Open, and they picked up gold in the lightweight and middleweight divisions. And I want to say that Tynan Dalpra is currently undefeated as a black belt. Is that right, Corey?
That's right. I'm pulling up his record right now, but I believe he's at least 15-0.
Wow.
Yeah, we got to get a final count on this at the end of the year because he is just running through these opens.
It's only been about 6 months as well, 7 months
I know,
since.
But he's going to keep doing it. It seems like that's the plan. So
I mean, it makes sense, because our first real big gi tournament of the year, the IBJJF gi calendar, it will be Panza in early September. It's been announced. It's going to be taking place in Florida, just like last year. And I strongly suspect that Tynan will be aiming for gold there. And he definitely wants to get those reps in before that.
Well, he's
before that
certainly getting some reps in because, like I said, it's been every single weekend. I feel like we're getting a new highlight from these guys. Speaking of which,
highlights,
queuing that up right there for you. Let's go ahead and run this. Shout out to the guys at AOJ for always capturing high quality moments like this, and Tynan is just so good,
so smooth, right? That's the thing. It's like it's like watching those AOJ highlight videos that they put of Rafa Mendes just destroying blue belts in the gym, right? It's just clinical technique. But this is against fully resisted opponents. This isn't some kind of demonstration video. This is a match in an IBJJF tournament against legit black belts. And Tynan is out there making it look that easy. And Guy Mendes has been there every step of the way. I've never seen Tynan on the mat competing without Guy in his corner.
Yeah, this must be an exciting moment for Guy because he's put so much time into the younger squad, when Tynan was still a blue belt and all that, and Jonathan coming up to the ranks, and now they've reached the pinnacle of the sport and are just mowing through it. So it really must be something for him right now to watch it play out. Jessica Khan's another person as well that's doing all those big things.
Well, they've been invested in these kids literally since they were in the juvenile ranks. They weren't even eligible to compete in adults, and it's amazing. not the only notable results. There was a very notable incident that took place on the weekend, actually, which we rarely see, but it was a very bizarre double disqualification for the Alliance teammates, Felipe Andrew and Victor Barreto. So these guys were competing in the ultra heavyweight division. Now, usually what happens is when you have two competitors from the same team, they don't compete. They rarely will go against each other in a competition, right? Mm-hmm. They usually just close out. So it seems what happened was they entered the ultra heavyweight division, and what happened was that there were other people signed up, but they no-showed, so they just went straight into the final. And the plan was for them to then go on and do the absolute. And it appears that they went into this ultra heavyweight match, and they went against each other, but they did so with the intention of having a warm-up for the absolute. And apparently, the match was deemed not to be a true combat. And they got double disqualified.
Fake fight.
Not fake fight, but more like a cooperative role. They weren't trying to make it. There wasn't a show. It wasn't a performance. They weren't trying to say
it was a warm up.
It was a warm up match, exactly. They just went out there and they were talking to each other mid match. They were apparently laughing. They were allowing each other to be swept. They were giving up position, and the referees disqualified them on the spot because of IBJJF rule 6.1.5. When one or more of the athletes disregard the seriousness of the competition or perform actions simulating a fake combat.
Interesting.
So they disregarded the seriousnesses of the match, and the referees were like, get out of here, double DQ, and that meant that they then couldn't enter the absolute.
Oh.
So just goes to show, if you're going to go on the mat and if you're going to compete, there are none of these fake matches. You got to go out there and you got to do it for real.
Seems pretty fair to me, but I can't say I've ever seen that. I mean, I'm sure it's happened. There is a rule for it. But
I've seen double DQs for other reasons, like accumulation of penalties and stuff like that, but never for this.
Interesting.
No, it's definitely a first for me.
Maybe a lesson learned. I mean, I doubt they'll try it again. So
yeah, right.
Oh well.
Or just make it look really, really convincing. So Gianni Grippo had a pretty good weekend as well. He managed to bounce back from disappointment in the gi. And he apparently took bronze at both lightweight and in the absolute division, but then took double gold in no gi. And of course, this is just a week after taking gold in the lightweight division at no gi Panza as well, right? So congratulations, Gianni Grippo, seeing some success there. And that's not the only notable return, because first time we saw him compete since 2019, Shane Jamil Hill-Taylor back on the scene.
That's exciting news. It really, really is.
It's been a long time coming, Jamil, man. Where have you been? Good to see you back. But, he only had one match at Memphis. He was there with his teammates from Team Lloyd Irvin, and he picked up gold, as did his teammates, Elijah Dorsey and Adekola Williams. And those guys took double gold at brown and purple belt.
Oh, great.
Yeah. But Shane just had the one match at lightweights. I'd love to see him more active. So please, come on, man. Get back out there. Put it out there, man. We love watching you compete.
I love it. That's great news. But kind of a busy weekend. IBJJF back in full swing, right?
It's nice to see.
Calendar is filling up. You mentioned Panza is coming.
They've been announcing a bunch of opens, right?
That's right. They just announced the Austin Open that hopefully Corey and I might get to do, depending on the event schedule. We'll see how that works out. But it's great to see them back and traveling to some places I haven't been in a while. Going to Chicago this summer, I saw.
American Nationals in Vegas.
That's right. Boise's on the calendar. So busy times from the IBJJF, and you like to see it.
All right, so speaking of IBJJF, one of the things from last weekend, No-Gi Pans up in Dallas, was really cool, was that there were just so many submissions in the black belt divisions, right? There were a lot of submissions in the black belt divisions. And we collected those clips together, and we've got a really nice collection on our website, basically the best submissions from No-Gi Pans. And if you go to the site, you can watch them all. We just clipped them out, 30 to 40 seconds, little highlight videos of some of the finishing sequences. But I thought it'd be a good idea if we just go around the room and just highlight a couple of our favorites from that, because there are literally dozens of videos in that collection. So what stands out? Chase, you go first.
I think to kick things off, let's show Hugo Marquez's kind of mounted triangle that he hits. And it was such a fast transition. This thing was so nasty. Watch this. playing, looking at the guard right now, sort of right in the mount.
Straight into
the mount. Like, that was so fast. I had to watch that maybe 5 times just to see how he saw his opening and did not hesitate whatsoever, and then locks up this triangle here shortly.
Man, he's so explosive, right? We talked about this a lot during our commentary, I remember. It's just that he is one of the most athletic guys in the division. He can just accelerate so quickly. And wow, I mean, you give him that little bit of space and he just jumps straight over the guard like that.
That was incredible. Yeah. Rarely do you see a guy go from passing the guard on his knees to stepping into mount in like half a second. It's crazy.
That's beautiful. Corey, how about you, bro?
I want to kick it off with Kieran Kachuk.
Oh, yeah.
We've been talking a lot about Kieran since Nogi Pans. He, for me, was the breakout star of Nogi Pans. And this heel hook he set up was definitely the one that made my eyes light up a little bit.
Now, he didn't win gold, though, right? He was a breakout star, but it was really from the quality of his performances, not the medal or the place on the podium, right?
He took bronze, but he ended up with 3 submissions in 4 matches and kept it close with Johnny Tama in the semis.
Nice. So Kieran is a Canadian grappler representing Team Lloyd Irvin. And man, I noticed that actually, that nice little sweep that he used there to go underneath then and to get into the inside heel hook. But I was watching his other matches and he's got a really nice half guard actually. He uses it to set up all kinds of stuff. He'll use the half guard to set up DAS chokes and set up heel hooks. A really unusual kind of game. I wanted to highlight the lightweight champion Gianni Grippo because it's no secret that Gianni is an incredible technician and he's got this really well developed leg game. But Gianni's leg game, you think of him as a Berimbolo 50-50 guy, but man, his leg lock defense is on point. You can see this match here that his opponent is hunting after those legs. And Gianni uses that to just drop straight into this beautiful textbook kind of leg drag position and then gets a katakatami or arm triangle choke to finish it.
Yeah, you don't want to be here, Gianni Grippo. This is his bread and butter. He'll cook you here and wait to get his pass and then set up the choke.
But it goes to show, though, right, the danger of trying to go up against a really proficient grappler, like, a specialist in the Berimbolo or 50-50. It's not as easy to leg lock these guys as you think.
No, and that was a big question, right? We discussed that quite a bit coming into the new rule set for the IBJJF is how do some of the more dominant gi guys and IBJJF players specifically adjust to having reaping and heel hooks and the whole bevy of new attacks, and it seems they can do all right. Yeah,
it's interesting to note as well that Gianni has never lost by leg lock. As a black belt. That's remarkable. And Corey, you're a resident leg lock guy, but it goes to show that if a guy really knows the leg game in general, then they generally know where their feet are. It's not that easy to get them into a position to finish the leg, right?
Right, and I've talked to Gianni about this, and he said every time I've asked him that he doesn't worry about the leg game. He knows the leg game, and very clearly he knows how to counter it. He's probably leaving some things exposed and saying, go ahead and attack the leg, because he likes to find his way into that leg drag or into the Berimbolo or into back attacks from 50-50 is especially where he exceeds.
Wow. There it goes, man. That's a beautiful performance. What's next?
For my second choice, I picked Mike Perez's nice guillotine finish from the mount.
Oh, this was dirty.
This was really nice. And, of course, he closed out the absolute final there of Hulk. But first time we saw him back in action since 2019. So I wanted to highlight that, because Perez really is one of the most exciting grapplers out there.
When he's on, he's really on, right?
And this is just so smooth, right? This is like something you drill passing the guard to warm up. Like, all right, pass the guard, try and hunt for the head, step over the mount. It's like it's relatively, let's call it, basic sequence, but he hits it live just without really any problems, just very smooth.
Man, the thing I liked about the finish as well, he catches it and then he turns the guy over and steps into the mount, but he had this crazy twist on the guillotine at the same time. So it wasn't just like a lot of people do. They get into the mount and they kind of do that skydive position and kind of like crank the neck up. And he had a really nice kind of side crunch.
I've never heard it called the skydive position, but I perfectly see exactly what you're talking about.
You know exactly what I mean, right?
Yeah, exactly. No,
that was clean. Perez is a killer, man. I love watching him compete. He's another guy who needs to compete more. He went over 500 days without competing and until his return at Nogi Pan. So, Mike, get yourself back out there, man. All right, Corey, you got another one that you wanted to highlight, right?
Roosterweight champ Esteban Martinez. He had a crazy heel hook in the final, but this submission was more impressive. He was up 11 points as he normally is in this division, but he ended up hitting this really weird reverse omoplata.
Oh, I love this move, man. This move is a classic, and it's one of those ones that it is incredibly effective. It's like it's surprising how easy it is to hit this position, actually. But dude, Esteban's a killer, right?
Yeah,
that's dope.
The nuts thing about Esteban here too is he's always leading on the scoreboard by sometimes 10, 20 points, but just going after submissions and getting creative with it, which you gotta love to see because it leads to clips like this.
Yeah, I love that, and the fact that he's in every absolute he can do.
Oh, yeah.
He's a roosterweight. That's awesome. I always love watching that.
His goal is to one day win absolute gold that's incredible because he's one of the smaller roosterweights as well. But that roll through there, and if you're wondering like the exact finish for it, it's basically just like a Kimura. It's like the arm is in exactly the same position. So whereas an omoplata, generally you are face down and the arm is going up sort of behind you like this. In effect, it's the same thing, but you're face up and the legs are just interlaced a little bit differently. But very easy setup, and I've seen Keenan Cornelius teach this as well. And you know where I learned it from? I learned it from watching a Sambo highlight.
Okay.
Years ago, I was
Nice,
watching a Sambo highlight because they, like judo guys, they'll go to turtle to not concede either the pin or a takedown to their back, and they use this a lot, Sambo guys, because it's really easy to just kind of pop the guy up, sort of get that leg in on the near side arm, and then hit that rolling reverse omoplata. And I remember the first time I ever did it. I remember it really, really well because I was like, I'm going to go for it. I remember watching this on YouTube. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to try the YouTube shit out of the gym. And it really worked. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. So I had a taste of the power.
I remember Keenan hit that at ACB. He attacked the turtle and finished.
Against Yuri, I think, right?
He didn't finish the submission, but he definitely he
I
used
thought he
it.
did, but I don't remember. It was a couple
Really?
years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
hang on. Okay, bring that shit up, Corey. Can you get that up? Can you Google it real quick?
Yeah.
Check on Keenan's record to see if he actually tapped Yuri with it. I definitely remember him doing it against Yuri at ACB, though. Now you mentioned
Maybe he opened it up. I forget, but there was a moment where he
there
did
was a
it.
moment, yeah.
Anyways.
Do we have an answer?
Coming.
No pressure.
We'll come, no pressure.
We'll come back
Where
to
is it?
that. Do we have any more subs?
Come on, man. I could do a rolling reverse omoplata faster than this. Come on. Where is it?
He hit him with reverse omoplata ACB 13.
And he submitted him?
He submitted him.
Boom! There you go.
Winner, chicken dinner.
All right, last one I wanted to highlight was this beautiful rolling calf crush. So Maggie Grindati, it's not really kind of her game. I don't often see her do this stuff. Maggie is definitely a top player. She's got a really good, strong pressure game, and she usually gets the back. She usually just goes for the choke, right? But watch the way that she drops off for the rolling calf crush instead, because she's here, she's got the one hook in, the near side hook, and she's working on it, but instead she's like, okay, your defense is too good. So she puts the truck on, then rolls back, and boom, she gets that really nice calf crush. And man, that is a very, very powerful move once you slide that in, and almost impossible to escape from.
That was clean, yeah, and that definitely hurts.
Yeah, it really
it's a
does.
painful sub because you don't want to tap, and then it feels like your leg's going to explode. So
yeah, it is actually one of the most painful submissions to get caught in, because it's not one of those ones where you feel like something's going to break. At first, it's like
it's
pain,
gonna burst. It's
I'm just going to grip my teeth, and then your knee explodes. Yeah. Nasty.
Nice.
Very nice. All right, upcoming events. So, of course, we did mention that this weekend is who's number one? Craig Jones versus Louis Panza. You may have heard about that. But also we have Spider Invitationals going down this weekend. That is going to be a purple and brown belt eliminator. Basically, the winners from this one will be invited back to compete on a future Spider event against some of the high-level black belts that they actually have. So that'll be cool. That'll be fun. We're not exactly sure of the time that's going down yet. It may even be going down Friday evening, around about the same time as Who's Number One, because of the whole time difference and stuff. But keep an eye on the site. They'll be coming through shortly. You've got a couple of notable Korean grapplers in there, and then there's guys like Jonathan Moicano, and you also got Guilherme Fernandes, Rafael Silveira. So yeah, high-level Brazilians on that show as well. And then on June 12th, got EUG promotions. So it's a £170 tournament. And this one's pretty loaded, right, Chase?
Yeah, it's looking like a great card. If you guys missed the first EUG, you can watch the replay. That's the one where Andy Murasaki took from gold in a pressure fashion. But this card is awesome. Yeah, Mika Galvao is, of course, I think the biggest news, and
brown belt in amongst all the black belts.
Exactly,
yeah.
Definitely there to terrorize some of the black belts that were meeting Mika potentially, as we don't know the bracket quite yet. We've got Jonathan Alves on the card. Tynan Dalpra is there, which I think if I had to pick a dream matchup, it'd be Mika Tynan. That's a crazy matchup. Matias Luna is in there. Paulo Costa's back in action. Jonatas Gracie, a veteran black belt at this point.
Yeah.
And Michael Lier being probably the senior statesman in this bracket. Michael Lier Jr.
Man, that's a real diverse variety of talents, styles, a bit of everything in that lineup, right?
Yeah, it's super fun. I really enjoyed their rule set as well. It's a little bit different, right? They no advantages, and then what was the deal with the penalties? It was a point for your opponent, something like that.
Not that I remember.
No,
it's IBJJF scores, but very high-paced matches, short matches, so pretty quick. Yeah.
Okay,
but it was a lot of fun, and I'll be there at the next EUG in Las Vegas to catch up on that one. Of course, the last one was a ton of fun. Andy Murasaki made his black belt debut there and was able to win the tournament in something of an upset, right? And Mika Galvao is poised to do the same, to be a very disruptive presence in amongst those 8 men. So. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. Well, that's it from today's episode of Grappling Bulletin. Just one more thing is to say, really, is get well soon to Gordon Ryan, of course. We're very saddened to hear that his health problems have forced him away from the world of professional grappling. But fingers crossed, he should, fingers crossed he'll be able to find some kind of solution, some kind of remedy to his ailments, and we'll see him back somehow, somewhere in the future for Nogi Grappling. So it would not be the same without him.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks, guys, for tuning in this episode, and stay tuned for a big week. Who's number one's on the way.